What's up, guys? Bill here from the Iron Lotus Society. Just wanted to talk with you a bit tonight about something that's been on my mind for a little while, and that is just the difference between practiced and learned martial arts and martial science, reactive training, close quarter combat, and other forms of self-defense module or method. And I think the biggest thing that we miss here is that martial arts are just that, an art. They're designed to teach the body to move in an efficient manner according with the person's level of fitness, physical skill, flexibility, and ability to absorb and learn technical modulated information. Now, I'm a martial artist and I love martial arts. It is a regular part of my life and will always be. But there's a dire need here to discuss the difference between martial arts training and training for survival. Okay, I've been fortunate enough and blessed enough in my life to have some exposure to people who have otherwise not necessarily been in the best physical shape or the best necessarily performing martial artists I've ever met, but are some of the most lethal and survivability focused people that I've ever met. And these people, through my experiences, taught me how to survive, as did my own common sense, which I was also taught to rely on quite heavily. So, just to lay this out for you, let's talk about some of the things that define CQC or martial science and differentiate it from martial art. Okay. In martial science, there may be some modulated information, but the modulated information is actually the martial art portion of the self-defense course or CQC course or whatever. It's designed to teach you to move certain ways. It is not necessarily the most efficient form of technique. Now, with that being said, martial science and CQC training come down to a few simple principles. The first and foremost of which is your ability to negotiate difficult situations, verbally, mentally, emotionally, and physically. If you cannot bring yourself to physically respond in a situation, or you have found it to be unnecessary to physically respond in a situation, you must learn the correct verbal and mental response to fit that situation. And there's no magic sentence, there's no magic words to turn away an attacker. It all depends on the situation. But there are a few things I can tell you. One is, you have to learn to de-escalate. And not just de-escalate the person attempting to harm you, but also de-escalate yourself a little bit. Because we all want to go gung-ho and street fight with our attacker and be the big hero and all that. But if you're not the big hero, if you don't have the capability, if you have fear in your mind of these things, don't. Just don't bother. It's not worth it, and it's most likely not going to work. Or if it does work, you're going to take it too far and face legal repercussions. So, that being said, de-escalate the situation. Never scream loud for help. Women, this is directed at you especially. If a man wants to rob you, rape you, harm you, the worst thing you can do is call attention to the situation. Because when you call attention to the situation, you have moved it from a potentially non-lethal level to a lethal level. You have now not provided the opponent or attacker with an easy exit, which is really the easiest way to get them out of your face and out of your life, is to allow them a quiet and easy exit. Okay? So that's just one example. Okay. The second rule here is do not respond verbally in an aggressive manner if you are not willing to follow it up physically. Criminals look for this. Okay. I know so many people who say, well, I'll just get up in his face and say crazy things. He's not gonna bite. If he or she is a real criminal, they will kill you where you stand while you are still running your mouth. They especially know that you're an easy target. When you do that, that's called posturing. It's a show of bravado to cover up your fear. So, don't be verbally aggressive unless you are willing to become physically aggressive, and to become physically aggressive immediately. The third rule is, if you are to become physically aggressive, please choose the situation correctly. Don't stab your drunk uncle at a family gathering because he gets a little wild. This is not appropriate, and you deserve to be punished if you do something so foolish. Okay? That's just another show of machismo or bravado that will A, get you killed, and B, get you thrown in jail. And to be frank, if you do that, you deserve to be thrown in jail. Now, secondly, if you have judged the situation to be physically violent, unavoidable, then you must decide what level of violence you are willing to and physically and mentally able to take it to. Okay? And you must be satisfied with that level. If the only level of violence you're willing and able to take it to is to knock down the attacker and run, then you must take it only to that level. And do not try to go past that level. Because there's a possibility you will freeze or do something wrong or open yourself up for an attack. Okay? You must do the most effective thing, and you must provide yourself the best way to exit as soon as possible. The more time you spend in the situation, the more likely you are to die in the situation. So, in order to die less, you must be there for a smaller amount of time, the smallest amount of time possible. The third portion of becoming physically aggressive is that you must become totally physically aggressive. No juking around, no boxer's hands up. This isn't a fist fight in the Chili's parking lot. This is a survival situation. Okay? No posturing. It must be immediate, and it must be effective. Okay? So don't hesitate. If it becomes necessary to take it to that determined physical level to convince the attacker that you are not an easy target, then take it to that level and take it there immediately. Okay? The fourth rule here is that your physical aggression must be correct and effective. If you stab at somebody, that's effective, but it's not necessarily correct, because you can also be stabbed or shot in the process. Okay? Again, you have to provide an escape for yourself here. Okay? You can't just go buck wild and start punching at people, because that is not, though it may be an effective attack, it's not a correct attack and could get you killed or the people that are with you killed. Okay? So let's talk about this. You have learned techniques from your martial arts. Now you must find the best places on the body and the most effective ways to apply them. Okay? You must be able to do the maximum amount of damage in the minimum amount of time. And I know what a lot of you are thinking, but let me tell you this. If your maximum damage involves more than 1 or 2 immediate striking procedures, I'm sorry, you're out of luck. Okay? You're not going to sit there and throw your 5-fist death combo where you punch somebody in 5 different places and drop them. That is not going to work. Okay? That is not going to work. It needs to be fast, it needs to be painful, and it needs to be effective. Okay? Those are 4 tips for surviving. Now, a couple little extra tips here. One is that in the street or in a violent situation, the loser is not the dishonorable, stab you in the back. No, the loser is the one who loses. Okay? And it doesn't matter what you think about your misplaced notions of esoteric honor and this and that. I don't care. Okay? If you want to talk about survival, then you have to look at it from a practicality standpoint. Okay? And if you're thinking honorable this, then you're not thinking about it practically. Okay? In the street, the loser bleeds. The loser dies. The winner is the one who walks away and survives. Okay? So just keep that in mind. This is not a posturing. This is not to show off your martial arts. This is for you to survive. You may have family members with you. You need to protect them. Survival is more important than your pride. Secondly, okay, and this is a very, very important tip here, guys. Okay? In the street, the meanest, most selfish person usually wins. Criminals are effective because they are mean and they are selfish. You must be meaner and more selfish than the criminal if you wish to survive. This means, as far as mentality, being more criminal-minded than the potential criminal. This means you must be prepared to stab someone in the back, hurt them while they're not looking, make a maneuver that you feel like might be a little less than honorable in martial arts circles. Okay? Use deception, lie, trick, cheat. Doesn't matter. Okay? These are all important points in surviving street encounters. Okay? I love traditional martial arts, but don't get me wrong. Effectiveness comes first. Okay? And when it comes to survival, you will not see me perform anything like a martial artist. You will see me perform it like some kind of street hoodlum. Okay? Or desperate criminal who just wishes to survive the encounter, because that is the drive that motivates me in those violent encounters. Now, does this mean 100% of the time you're going to get away? No, sometimes you will get hurt and some people do die. Okay? So here's the most important tip I can give you. Live your life righteously. Do not live like some drunken, drugged out, violence-seeking thug. Stop going to bars where you could potentially get attacked. Stop drinking yourself into a stupor. Stop using drugs until you don't know what to do with your mind or your body. You don't need these things. And if you live by them, you will assuredly die by them. Okay? This means stop sleeping around with loose women, gentlemen. Women, stop going home with random men. Okay? You must not place yourself in situations where you can easily become a victim. Okay? If you don't want to get stabbed in your back, don't expose it. It's just that simple. My tip for living righteously is to follow the living Christ, Jesus. Adjust your morals. Find your way spiritually and morally to the one true living God. He can change your heart. And once the heart is changed, you tend to go to these places less. You seek to live more righteously, and upon living righteously, you do not expose yourself to as much danger. Now, is this 100% foolproof from keeping you from dying? No, of course not. But it will take everything that is in your hands and give you the opportunity to avoid the situations that you can help avoiding. So some of you may like this, some of you may hate it, but this is the reality of it. Okay? And the fact of the matter is, I have no need for posturing. Okay? If you doubt what I say, don't come to me and ask for a sparring match, or come find me and posture up and this and that. You know what? Go to the streets of the most dangerous city you live near and run your mouth and then see what happens. Okay? That is how you can test my advice. Okay? I urge you to stay safe, to stay out of trouble, and never, put yourself in a situation where this advice has to be tested. Ever. I do not endorse the use of violence. I do not endorse fighting. I do not endorse any of that garbage. And if you choose to get in those situations, you do so at your own risk. No one in the Iron Lotus Society supports that, and no one will come to your aid. Okay? The use of violence in self-defense is the only thing that we endorse, and only in true self-defense. So I urge you, think differently about self-defense. Think differently about your training. And think differently about the life that you need to protect and the lives of those around you that you need to protect. Okay? I hope that this will spur you to do a little research into combatives training and also into real-world pragmatic solutions for potentially deadly encounters. Okay? I don't have all the answers. There is no single answer. There is no book of answers. There's no nothing. What works for me will not necessarily work for you. But I can tell you this. The concepts themselves remain solid. That's called criminology. It's a study about the minds of criminals and the way that they operate. It's been around for years. So, I urge you to do some research. I urge you to study up, become learned in this way, and at all costs, stay safe, keep your family safe, and survive. This is Bill for the Iron Lotus Society. Check us out at theils.org. That's theils.org. If you're interested in any of our Iron Palm or Iron Body training. And we want to thank you for all your support. Wish your family a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you again.